So I'd like to introduce today's guest, which is Lisa Clunie of Thrive Studios. Tell me, Thrive Studios, what do you do?
So I'm a brand and marketing consultancy, but I still do graphic design. I can't let go of that. So we do all sorts, everything from doing brand strategy to get them started, right through to marketing, sort of putting a whole process together. We do websites, we do
So is this new
illustrations,
businesses, startups, or is this
all
established
sorts.
companies trying to...
So I've got two sides of the business. So I've got Thrive Studios, which has been going since 2012, and that has always been a design agency, really.
Yeah.
But as things have changed over the years, I get on. I've always been into strategy and psychology and all that sort of side. I got more involved in the business side.
Yeah.
So it was, how do people pick one brand against another? So it's a
It's a
psychology
real challenge when
side.
you speak to a business owner. You say, "Well, who's your target customer?"
Yeah.
And most of the time, they just draw a blank at you, and you're like,
Well, they
"Really?"
think everybody's their audience.
Yeah.
Anybody is there.
So how do you create a brand where everybody's your audience? Surely that's not
You
something you
don't.
can't.
You don't. And I go through loads and loads of questions with them, find out where. And your brand is very much depending where you want to take your brand in the future. So if you want to stay as a cottage industry, you would build a brand for
You make it
local.
look homely and
Yeah, and
small
relaxing,
and
and yeah, the atmosphere would
intimate.
be different. So, but then I can work with companies that want to sell a business. They've already got a brand, but they want to sell a business. So we try and build the brand up for selling so that it's done in a different way. And then you have people that want to develop and they want to go overseas, they want to be international. So we have to look at colours and things like that that are going to be international worth, because if it's going to China, there is certain colours China don't like.
Yeah.
So I have to know where they want to take that brand to have the strategy
So
there.
brand becomes part of a business plan as much as the outreach, the marketing, the advertising, financial controls, who we recruit, and all those kind of things. But most people probably don't think that way.
No. I mean, I get when I say I do branding, everybody thinks it's the logo, the website, and that's where they start, and they shouldn't start there.
Yeah.
They should be looking at what they want to do with the business, why they've started that business, and then we can build a brand that's relevant. And it's not about them; it's about the customer.
Yeah.
So it's got to attract the customers that they want to come into the business. It's not about them. Otherwise, if they do it for them, or it's on trend at the time, it's going to be outdated really, really quickly, and they're going to outgrow it, and they're going to be back to the same position again.
So a few minutes ago, we were talking about a few of the companies that you started off in your early career. We talked about the oil and gas industries, and the two big companies you worked for have got quite a defined brand to them, really, that hasn't really changed a lot over the decades.
Well, I started a long time ago with BP. So
You don't have to tell us how.
yeah, a long time ago. So they were still using the crest at the time.
I
And
remember that.
then I went through the process and worked with a design agency that actually did it, and it was like a green long
Yeah. Totem. Yeah.
totem, and they still had the shield on. And then I left there and got headhunted by Shell, but then obviously they've amalgamated, and now it's a flower.
Yeah.
So
And that was a
that's
change
quite
in the business to
unusual
have a more environmental approach to the business, wasn't it? And
because
be
they
seen as
amalgamated with somebody else as well. So they wanted to get the two elements together.
yeah.
I've also been involved where BP and Shell were working together at one time for like 25 years.
Yeah.
They had a mixed company. So there was a lot of things going on with that as well.
So you can have some very prescribed brand guidelines for a business, and you just have to work within that framework.
Shell were like that.
But most companies don't start off that way, do they?
No, but
You
that's one
start off
thing
with a
I
blank
do.
canvas.
So when I first take a company on and we're designing a logo or we're going through the whole process with them, they're always given a brand guidelines, and they vary from a very simple one, which might be only 8 pages, to tell them the colours, the coding of the different colours, because you've got
And that keeps things consistent through the letterheads, the sign writing,
and especially if they want to do it on digital way, it's got to be a different coding, which is like what they call RGB. And then if it's printing, it's CMYK. So you've got to give them all those codes, and it's got those hex numbers. People don't realise.
And the slightest variation,
will
can
change it
change the brand.
dramatically.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep to those numbers to get the right element to keep the consistency of that colour.
It's quite interesting. I see various franchises over the years, and the biggest argument franchisees always have, especially in small franchises, is they want their creativity, or they want to put a spin on things and things like that. And the brand guidelines were there for a purpose.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about BP and Shell. Are there particular campaigns that you loved working on in those days, or
Well, I was
particular
more
projects?
of at Shell, I was a brand manager.
Yeah.
So I never got to travel or anything with Shell, but I was in charge of, or got involved with, like Formula One, and gas and bitumen were my three main areas that I got. So they were very vast, and so they all had their own identity.
Yep.
Because even though it was Shell, they all had their own
Business unit.
So a lot of time I would sometimes I would be doing some of the graphic design for them, but a lot of time I was hiring agencies to come in. So I dealt with a lot of the big agencies while I was in there. But the manual at the time was absolutely so huge.
So you had to kind of know that inside out to kind of corral the agency in the direction that you wanted to.
And it's
go.
like the retail when they tweaked the colours slightly, like nobody else would really notice it, and they probably spent millions doing it. But what they did do is when they were going to the retail shops, and you'd have the petrol stations, when the lights came on, sometimes the colours were wrong.
Okay.
So they'd have to change all the lighting behind to make sure that was
consistency through the brand.
Yeah. So it's branding's always been there, but I would say now it's very different than it was in them days.
What was it like managing agencies back in those days?
We got wined and dined a lot.
So there was good social life that went with the job.
Social life, yeah. Christmas was very healthy. Because all of that's all stopped now. But
so that even the agency industry has fragmented massively compared to 20 years ago.
Yeah, because when I left, I had my two children, so I worked part-time for Shell, and then they closed the whole department, outsourced everything. So I went freelance because even though I loved being a mum, I needed something for me as well, and I can't stop that creativity. It's inbuilt in me. So I went freelance. So I worked in advertising agencies, but I could do it around my children.
Choose a workload that suited you.
Yeah, so I'd do a project, I'd work for someone for so long. Sometimes it was in London, sometimes it was local round sort of Hampshire area. So, but that gave me, I never lost the ability because...
You're still in touch with what's going on changing.
Because technology changed so fast in the 90s, 2000s.
This thing called Google turned up.
Yeah, Google came up, internet came out, everything just exploded. So I was very lucky that I never stepped away from it because if I had...
So you carry on learning on the job rather than...
Yeah, because now you think of technology now, every week there is something new coming out. You're constantly bombarded with it.
Going back to that kind of creativity we just said a few moments ago about franchisees and wanting to put their little spin on things, we've handed everybody a set of tools. Whether you go to a networking group and meet the specialists that used to form part of that team, you meet the SEO guy, you meet the graphic designer, you meet the printer, and everyone's got access to the raw tools. And on a computer now, we've got Canva, we've got ChatGPT, and we can. How do you manage a brand when you've got all of these other influences that are just there to be played and toyed with?
But you see it, don't you? I mean, I can go through, like looking, I'm constantly looking on social media, see what's going on and webinars and God knows what. And it amazes me. There's no consistency. So that's the problem with Canva, is that they think, oh, I like that font. But it's nothing to do with their look and feel. And a lot of the fonts, you can't, because people scroll so fast, they can't read them. but they think it looks nice, it's trendy. So
And everything, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Canva, you see trends, even in print. You go back to the days of Ogilvy, and the style of advertising was a defined style for its time, and each kind of fad and fashion comes and goes.
but if you want to build a consistent brand that people are going to absolutely love and be loyal for a long, long time, then don't go for those fads.
That's a really interesting point you make about brand loyalty. The kind of creating raving fans for your business is a really difficult thing to do. And, a friend of ours is a HR consultant. She was looking for a new job. And we kind of went through this wish list of what she'd expect the company to have, and like an airy office, and treated the staff this way. And we made this list of all the different things that kind of tick the boxes. And then literally we went and searched on Google for companies that kind of had these qualities. And the brand meant that actually this company's got all these qualities. This is the kind of place it is to work. I'd like to go and work there. And that's not about a logo.
Yeah, but you see, that's it. People, your logo is important because that's what people recognise. Yeah. But actually now, you think of even McDonald's, just as soon as you see an arch, you don't have to see the full logo.
So which British brands, or which brands that we see regularly, would you say are really strong brands at the moment?
At the moment, we've got that high-end... well, they've changed the name.
Yep.
But it's very clever.
Getting you talking about it.
It's getting you talking about it.
Have you seen the Heinz posters on the bus stops at the moment?
Yes. And Tesco.
No mention of Heinz at all.
No.
And McDonald's are doing the same ones. So for people that haven't seen it, Heinz have got a series of campaigns for baked beans, for mayonnaise and things like that. And it just says it has to be. And then it's a picture of chips and you've seen it so many times, like Hoover. Yeah, we don't do the vacuuming at home. Can you bring the Hoover?
Yeah.
And that brand's probably disappeared. I've not seen it for 20 years. So other strong brands that you think that are out there?
It's quite a lot. I mean, you've got Brewdog. That's
a new brand. That's a kind of 15, 20-year-old brand that's new to the market.
Edgy. They've always kept to what their beliefs were. And they've had major problems, obviously, with COVID and things like that, because they went into doing breweries. They went to hotels, pubs. Yeah. They set restaurants up and things like that, and they lost a lot of money. But they've got so much loyalty with their...
You can buy shares in Brewdog as well, can't you?
Yeah, well, they give
like
shares. Yeah. That's what they did through COVID to get the loyalty from the staff.
Yeah.
They actually gave them shares. So they're very...
ethical business as well.
Yeah, very ethical business. But they talk about it. It's like Innocent Smoothies.
Yeah.
How they started.
You must have read my mind, because that was the next one I was about to talk about.
Innocent Smoothies. I mean, obviously they've been bought by Coca-Cola now and things like that. But their actual messaging is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And the way that they did it. And I think that's it. Nowadays, big established brands that have got a reputation, have got the loyalties because of like sustainability or what they're about. What people... Branding is all about feeling. What emotion does it bring to you?
It's interesting that IBM used to have a ethos behind IBM that if you hired IBM for your project, that they would put all of the resources of the business behind making that a success. And their tagline in the 90s was, no one gets sacked for buying IBM.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's when I talk to a lot of people, it's like, do you know what? If that was your business, have you got the similar kind of commitment to your customers and to making things happen? Because if you're a dead cert, why would someone not buy from you, even if you're more expensive? So branding can be very, very clever.
And people don't always go on price.
No.
And I think that's it. That it's like Apple. We all spend a fortune on Apple stuff, but actually the back end of Apple is actually made by Samsung or something like that now. So, but you still are loyal. You buy into...
the feel. The unwrapping of your new iPhone, and the smooth box
feeling,
and the feel of the aluminium that's polished and everything like that. Interesting, isn't it? As a child, my mum used to say to me that a reputation takes a lifetime to build and moments to lose.
Oh, yeah.
There's a certain gentleman that's been associated with the government in America, and he's got quite a few brands under his belt,
Yeah.
and some of them have been struggling. Should we talk about Elon Musk for a moment?
Yes, yeah.
So he's got a new contender, especially in the UK, with BYD as a new electric car manufacturer coming in from China, and really damaging that Tesla brand through his political outstatements and things like that. So what kind of advice would you be giving to people if you were sitting there as the brand manager, head in hands for Tesla at the moment?
Well, the thing is, I mean, I do a lot of work, personal branding as well.
Yeah.
Because they're so linked and they're so entwined. So
Politics at the moment is so divisive.
Very divisive, and it's toxic at the moment throughout the world. But people are looking, when they're looking for jobs or they're looking into a business, they do look at the CEO, what their values are. They go hunting on LinkedIn and things like that. So I do get involved very much in that sort of side as well.
What would you give in the way of advice to somebody that's looking to improve their personal brand?
It's building that trust, be natural. You know, I know the word authentic's everywhere, but actually with AI, and you've got all this technology out there at the moment, and since COVID, people are absolutely wanting that human factor.
We've gone through that stage of Instagrammable. Oh, here's
Yeah.
my avocado toast for breakfast, and just finished my 20-mile
People
run.
don't believe that anymore. They don't want to be sold to. They want to know who you are, but who's the person behind the business.
Yeah.
And who are the people within that business?
I think Heck sausages were one of the brands that did really, really well with getting that buying into, here's, the people on the farm that are producing this and the quality of the product and bits like that.
Well, you've got Jamie Oliver.
Yeah.
He's had some absolute.
It's been a roller coaster over time
for him, but actually he's organic. He's, very family orientated, and people love him.
Yeah.
For what his values are, what he's trying to do.
And even when he's stepped into that political sphere of kind of putting his flag in the ground to say, you know what, we need to improve this, and I'll show you how we can improve it, and try to bring everybody with him on that journey, didn't they?
Yeah, and he did get hit back a few times, but that's what personal branding is all about. You've got to be the hero.
If you could brand anybody, who would your ideal customer be for personal branding? Who would you,
Lots of people. I do like a challenge.
So Elon Musk, if you want to phone in,
I don't think I could go with him, to be honest.
Mainly because of his eclecticness.
I'm inspired by Trini Wooderson at the moment. I mean, obviously she's set up her business as Trini London.
Yeah.
She is everywhere. She is, doing clothes. And I quite admire her. And I saw an interview with her being interviewed by, I think it was Forbes or something like that. And it was a young girl interviewing her. And she said, "How are you doing what you do at your age?" And you could see she was very, very diplomatic, but said her piece. And I really admired her, the way she came across, because that is part of my other side of the business, is Thriving Brand, where that is helping women in their 40s, 50s, 60s.
I think there's a massive pool of talent.
There is, huge.
That stepped out to have a family and is often ignored to come back into the workplace. And you will have heard the expression, give someone busy something to do and they'll get it done.
Yeah.
And generally the stay-at-home mums that have stepped back and stepped out of a career are ignored by the hiring pool. And actually, I was hoping we would have seen more of a transition through COVID to flexible working and trying to reattract those people back into the workplace, because you can have a 40-something mum that was a marketing manager of a brand that's got all that talent and knowledge and experience and gets written off because you've had 5 years out of the workplace. Well,
see, I actually had staff with Thrive Studios. I had staff, I had premises and things like that originally. And every member that I had were mums.
Yep.
Because I knew when I was freelance, I had to work around my children. Yep. And when I go up to London to see clients now, I see mums talking to their children, saying goodnight to them on FaceTime, and it breaks my heart. So my ethos at the beginning of Thrive Studios was that I would hire mums that didn't want to go back to London,
Yeah.
but they wanted to work around the children. So that was my ethos
Yeah.
back then. Fortunately, I was married to a guy who hated me being successful, caused lots of trouble, wound the business down a bit because just keep peace at
Quieter life.
home.
Yeah.
Got divorced now, so I'm
Got the freedom to do the things you want to do.
and I lost my voice. He was very controlling, so I lost who I was. I lost my voice. I didn't know what direction. I couldn't. Felt as though I didn't have an opinion.
Yeah.
So I did positive psychology for me, and I studied positive psychology. But now that's what Thriving Brand is all about: is to get people to have a voice.
Yeah.
Because they do feel lost when they've come out, when they've had the children, when they've gone through menopause, when you go through anxiety and you doubt yourself. The amount of women I work with, and they're frightened of putting themselves on social media because they think they're going to be judged for the age that they are.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, when I listen to their backgrounds and their stories, I'm like, why the hell aren't you saying what you do? So I'm very much champion now because of what I went through.
Yes.
That is my thing with Thriving Brand, but I can't let go of the design side with Thrive Studios. So I'm
But
running
they
two sides.
tie beautifully together.
Yeah, so that I can give them the help and the encouragement to be able to put themselves out there, but give them the process and teach them the process. So I might not do any design for them whatsoever, but I'm teaching them the process, how to do it. So lots of they can do
That
themselves.
psychology opens up a whole can of worms, but also so many different influential factors. I know that one of the things I studied a lot with marketing was the bit that fascinated with me was neuroscience. Especially when early on they said to you, about putting cameras into the supermarket to track eyes and to see where people were spending the time looking, and where was the most valuable shelves in the supermarket for a new brand to buy shelf space and things like that. And it was kind of a light bulb moment. So when you started to explore psychology and you did this as your kind of role of self-improvement, what were the key things in psychology that you found to help you?
I'd always done psychology for branding because you've got to get in the head of the customer. So I've always done that, but positive psychology is very different.
Yeah.
So it's your mindset. So it's, instead of thinking, I can't do this, it's like, how do you persuade that person from that self-doubt? So it's a slightly different thing. But at the end of the day, it's still how your brain works. And, there's a lot of women I have worked with over the last couple of years, and they've just lost their way, or they've fallen out of love what they want to do. And it's bringing that passion back.
We were talking about the changes in technology earlier and how you're constantly having to adapt and change. And I think that's one of the superpowers of small business owners, really, is that adapting to change is something, especially if you've had a few careers.
Well.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, because they are frightened to death of doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So when they're like TikTok came out, all they saw was the dancing. Oh, I can't do that, can't do that. But actually, it's evolved so much into something completely different platform. Yeah. So it's taking those, I always say to them, always take one step at a time. Don't overload yourself. I mean, to be honest, I get freaked out with tech. And I'm using it day in, day out. But if something new comes out, like I'm doing some online courses at the moment, so I'm learning the software for that. I'm thinking, I'm a perfectionist, so it's got to look right, it's got to feel right, and I'm thinking, God's sake, Lisa, just put it out there. But
there's a saying about the best campaign's the one that actually gets sent out, that not that stays as.
You can tweak it after.
Exactly. Continuing improvements is kind of Japanese line of thought, but so many of us are like, every time and I'm sure you've done this, you'll write something and come back to it the next day and tweak it, and then you'll leave it a day or two, and a week's gone past and you still haven't. It's just like, come on, just move on.
It's like a blog, isn't it? You overanalyze so much.
So what would you say are the kind of first steps to finding your voice again, if you've been in that situation of feeling lost and losing direction?
I think it's looking back what you really loved to do. And brand and design is always lit me up.
Yeah.
And I did my degree in graphic design. I was an illustrator, did illustration before that, went to art school. So that is where my passion is. So, so that is, I had to make sure I got that back
Yeah.
and get my self-confidence back.
So we're about an hour and a quarter outside of London. You know, if you're in that fashion, advertising, design world in the city in the 80s and 90s, you know, that's a very different place now. But that energy that was there, you know, you're a little way away from now. Did you spend an awful lot of time in the city doing those kind of things, or was it?
So I worked quite a
Because
few advertising.
creatives bounce off of each other.
Oh yeah,
and
and I still love being with creatives. Funny enough, I coach quite a few creatives because they are emotional beings.
Yeah.
They cannot be creative if you've not got emotion in there.
they often struggle in business because it's
Yeah.
just the shiny object is the creativity.
Yeah, and they're always looking for the shiny object. So it's getting them to think in a bit more logical way. So, but I understand where they're feeling and how they met, how they work, because I've been there.
It's interesting. You would have heard of Rory Sutherland, and one of his interviews is saying about the creativity of an architect. You know, you get commissioned for a job, and the creativity is not Monday morning we're going to start the new project, sit down with a blank sheet of paper and design a house. Yeah. The inspiration comes from walking around a museum, out in nature, you know, reading a newspaper article, you know, doing the things that absorb, you know, from the outside world. Creativity doesn't come from a blank. That's why I didn't go to art school, because if you're in a creative mood, you're creative. If you're not in a creative mood, go and do something else. How do you switch on and switch off that creativity? Is it always there?
I was a nightmare when I come from Lancashire originally, so my two daughters would be in the back of the car, me driving up to see my mum and dad or family up there, and I'd be going past a van, and I'm like, can you write that number down? Can you write that number? Because their logo's awful.
Yeah.
So I never ever really switched off. I just love it. I love it. It just inspires me. And I love seeing everything to do with design. You know, it's evolving so fast, but I actually like that world.
I'm seeing a lot of companies rebrand for various reasons. They could have been acquired. They could have joined another group of companies, a change of management. The old adage is that, you know, something goes wrong in the business, we'll rebrand them, new signs and stuff like that as a change catalyst in the business. One of my clients is a pension fund managers, and they've moved from a very traditional blue logo, very similar to the kind of diesely blue of the cabinets behind you, to a very bright hot pink and a very bold, chunky font. And you're just like, crikey, that's just out there. It could quite easily be a burger chain if you changed the words of the logo. And you're thinking, right, how do colours affect us when we're choosing a logo?
Colour psychology is huge. But I think depends on what they want the business to be. You know, there's an accountancy firm called Wow.
Okay.
And they just do creatives. And their brand is designed for creatives.
Talking to the right audience.
Yeah, they're talking to the right audience. So it is wacky. It is, their tone of voice is talking to creatives. So depending who they want to hit, then that
it could be on brand.
It could be spot on. And you have to stand out now. It's a noisy world. So why not be different? But you can't be a traditional, you know, your ethics and your values, not your values, but your mission and the way you're coming across, your tone of voice has to align
your
with that
values have
look.
got to be consistent.
Yeah, your values are always the same, but it's everything else.
Yeah. Talking about crazy, the craziest thing I've seen last year, one that struck me at the heart because I drive a Jaguar.
Oh, they've changed the logo.
Not just did they change the logo, they went out there, you know, on another planet, quite literally.
Yeah.
So
like it's backfired a bit on them.
Massive publicity that they probably could never have paid for.
Yeah. It was the talk of everything on social media. Within the design world, everybody was saying, do you like it? Do you like it? Why have they done it?
Do you think that was a calculated guess to kind of get the brand back out there? Or do you think that was an epic fail of not reading the room of English heritage?
I think they went, I do like the logo, but I think the concepts that were out there were too wacky.
Yeah.
They
weren't actually showing any cars to start with, were they? So there was
all
no
these
context
people in
of
blue and God knows what, weren't they? And like bright lipsticks.
like a Sam Smith album cover rather than, we're selling a car.
And that is not. It's going to be a very slow. I mean, I know why they did it, because they want to attract the younger generation to having that type of car, but they're not going to do that.
But it's a bit like Aston Martin and James Bond. The two go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And Jaguar is kind of the gentleman's car of the UK, and there's still a lot of people that aspire to that. The Range Rover, bigger sales in the US than they do in the UK. So there's a lot of people around the world that want that English. Barber is a great English brand,
Rolls-Royce, isn't it? Yeah. People want that Bentley. They want that because it's what the brand stands for, and it's a luxury brand. Yeah. And it's UK have always had a very good reputation. Yeah. At really
British
good cars.
engineering.
Yeah, British engineering. So that is what they've always been about. And now they're trying to attract the youngsters for the wrong reasons.
Just to following the money rather than following the values that they've had.
They haven't followed the money because it's done them damage in some ways. Yeah. People have talked about it, but they've not bought the cars. No. And at the end of the day, that's
not been able to buy the cars, have they?
Because it's not even out. To buy the cars as well.
You think about the expenditure kind of thing. Yeah. It's like you want a return on investment in most things that you do in business. So that's quite an interesting project. Yeah. Talking about interesting projects, what's the project that you've worked on in your career that you turn around and say, actually, I've been so proud to deliver that branding project?
I suppose two different things. I mean, when I worked for Shell, I got involved with a lot of stuff with that and Formula One, and it was I met some absolutely brilliant racing drivers and things like that, and that was really exciting. But they did a lot of promotion, and the cars, the way the advertising was on the cars, went to another level. Yeah.
Was this the days of Marlboro Racing and all of the cigarette companies and everything?
Yeah, because obviously now you're not allowed to have that. Now you're not allowed to have drinks to the same extent. Okay. They're now looking like football clubs are now saying they're not having sponsorship from gambling companies.
I mean, Bet365, I've got friends in Stoke-on-Trent, massive employer in Stoke-on-Trent area, massive sponsor of the football club in the town. Yeah. But again, it's that... Vanarama is a really great example of how to get your brand out there in a reasonably cheap way, because they sponsored the Football League so that every time they were mentioned on the radio,
it was there.
It was there in front of everybody and their target audience.
And that's what you need. You need to be consistent and drip feed people, because it used to be 7 to 20 times. Yeah. Now they reckon it's more like 40 to get somebody to know who you are. So,
and then that, going back to our marketing days, that's top of the funnel stuff. That's the awareness stage. Yeah, that's before we've actually educated them as to what we do or how we do it. So there's a lot more marketing and a lot more brand awareness and a lot more legwork than ever before, because there's just so much digital noise.
Yeah. So that's where you have to be different, and that's why those people that are being them and they're voicing it. You've got to voice your opinion now, because we're typical British. Yeah. We don't like to say and do our opinions, where you've got the Americans that talk like about everything. So I think we have to have that fine line, but we do have to have our opinions. Yeah. But the only problem is there's a lady I follow at the moment, and she was talking about transgenders. Yeah. That has backlashed on her like mad, and she's got a lot of hate. And that's the thing, you've got to be very careful. You can put your opinion out there, but it could wreck your business. Sometimes you've either got to stay quiet or you've got to go bold. Yeah, and you've got to decide what you want. It's a calculated decision. Yeah. And so tweeting late at night once you've had a couple of glasses of wine is never a great idea. Not a good idea, no. So I think that's it. It's looking at your business, what you want to do with it, how you want to be what to be known for,
Yeah.
what's reputation is. I mean, you can have the most beautiful logo in the world and a fantastic website, but if you don't perform and you don't, it's a waste of time. We all know your website can make out as though you're a massive company and it's you.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. When I first started out, we had a lovely big website, performed very well. Within 6 months, it's back in about 2001, we'd pulled in a contract with Big Yellow Self-Storage when they had about 18 stores. The IT manager there was a fantastic guy. He said, you know what I love about working with you is every time I pick up the phone to ask you about a project, you know exactly what's going on. And it was me and 2 other guys running and ragged around the country in 3 vans. And he thought we had 40 or 50 staff because that's the way we'd sold it to them.
Yeah.
You know, we got to 19 staff, and you know, you kind of did fake it till you make it. But that's the difference, is what you set out to sell people on, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what is so key now, because the problem is now you let somebody down once, they never forget it. No. Where you could do 10,
and they can tell 10, 1 million people in minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So, like my daughter, she had a bad experience at Specsavers. Yeah. So she's complained. She hasn't put it on social media or anything like that, but she's complained where people didn't do that. It's so easy. She could have put that on social media and it would have just gone mad. Yeah. But she did it the right way.
Everyone likes a Karen and a keyboard warrior that they can kind of get on the bus with and go on that journey of complaining about.
It's so easy to wreck somebody's
business
these days.
Very interestingly, there's a fire alarm company that sadly there was a care home fire, and they were prosecuted by a fire service up in the northwest, and they were basically blamed for not complying with the building regulations and everything like this. And the fire service have now dropped the case, but the reputational damage nearly bankrupted the business for something they were found not guilty of in court. But it took 3 years to fight the case, and people's reputations, as I say, years to build.
People will not forget that.
No,
it will always be in back in people's. Oh, I remember that name.
So when you get to that kind of, I know crisis communications is a whole specialist industry, but that's a great example of where a company could want to rebrand. Yeah. How do you take them through that difficult time of actually, your baby tends to be, Thrive Studio's been around for a decent amount of time. You love it like your baby. Actually, now we need to change the name. We need to give it a fresh look, fresh approach. How do you take someone through the steps of that?
If it's something like that, where it's their reputation, then I would say yes, rebrand and do your name, because it would be hard. Yeah, to recover from that. Yeah. So, I mean, the amount of companies that are out there that are dodgy, that have set up, they've gone bust, and the next day they've set up again.
Carpet warehouses and double glazing companies and things like that.
So if you can say to your actual people that that you've done a good job for, and explain and be honest in some ways. So we've had to change the company because of that situation, our reputation. Be honest. Don't sugarcoat it. Because if you're honest, you'll start winning people back. Where if you just don't tell them, you just set up another company, you're just another new company.
Things happen in business, don't they?
Yeah,
they do. And anyone that's been around for a long time, you know people that have struggled to get paid, all these different challenges that happen in business. And honesty is always the best policy.
Yeah.
And people generally want to help people, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, most people, obviously not everybody, but most people want to help people out. I mean, I'm an absolute nightmare. I've got a business coach and he tells me off because I am such a giver, and I go and talk to somebody and my brain goes into overload with ideas, and I'm like, oh, you could try this, you could try that. And then I have this little voice from my business coach saying to me, Lisa, keep your mouth shut. That's
you like to spew on people. For. That's what I call it. The thing is, when you're a creative person, no matter the kind of niche of creativity, you come up with all these ideas and you can overwhelm people very easily.
Yeah. I get
A, because of your
excited.
brilliance, so you feel amazing. But on the flip side, you can overwhelm them with all these ideas and they just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, we talked about personal branding versus company branding. And they can often be two quite different silos if you're not careful, can't they?
Yeah, because again, it depends on, with your personal brand, what you want to do with that business, because obviously you've got like Richard Branson and things like that, who's Virgin, but Virgin is still an entity in their own right.
Yeah.
So you've got to know what you want to do with that company, because
Some people are, entrepreneurs. We like to chase the next thing
Yeah.
and sell a business and move on to something else.
and you can't build your personal brand to the same extent.
Yeah.
It has to be the company. But you can still be the voice quietly in the background.
Yeah.
So, but if you're somebody like, it's like Trini Woodson or something like that, she is the brand.
Yeah.
It's her face, it's her business. So it's Trini.
And that's a lot of trust that you're putting
That's a
into
lot of
that.
trust you're putting in, and she's got a massive team now. So it's her
Yep.
that's running the business. So her brand, her personal brand, is huge.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you want to do. But as I said before, everybody looks at the directors. They look at people within that business, the people that they're going to deal with.
Yeah.
That they want that connection now. And
Quite literally, I won't buy a car from I bought my Jag a little while ago. I knew what I wanted to buy, and I knew the model that I wanted to buy. Yeah. And then when I was looking through dealerships that weren't main agents, you're like, is there a company name and address? Is there a name of someone you're going to speak to? Is there a picture of somebody you're going to speak to? Because when something goes wrong, you want to be able to turn around and say, bang your fist on a desk and get a resolution. And faceless businesses just
don't work.
They don't work
because people don't trust people.
Yeah.
No matter what anybody says now, you've got to really work up that trust.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people have been conned sometime in business or been let down by somebody in business that were more skeptical. So that trust takes so much longer to build. And your reputation takes so much longer to build than it ever has before.
When would be the right time to introduce a brand consultant to a business?
They should do right at the beginning, to be honest.
Always set the foundations in the right way.
Because that's it. It's like you as a business coach. You've got to know what that business is about and where you want to take that business. So I love working with somebody right from the start, but obviously they haven't got the budget to do it, which is why I consult and I do the coaching, because it's a cheaper way of doing it. My design agency would be a lot dearer for them to do stuff, but I can guide them in the right direction. But I would say
that helps them to understand which order to do things in as well.
Because that's what they should do, because they run before they can walk.
Yeah.
And then it can go complete, excuse the French, tits up.
Yep.
So it's getting that structure there.
Yeah.
Which is when a business coach comes in or a brand consultant comes in or whatever, which is what they should be doing. But I also love when somebody's been 2.5 years in a business where they've got it established and then they want to go.
They need a fresh vision again.
Yeah, so they want to go to that next level. They want to have the staff. But they need, the voice is different, tone of voice, because they've evolved. They know what they started out might not have worked, so they're developing new ideas. I mean, I'm always developing new ideas. Yep. Any business person is. You're always looking for the next big thing. In some ways, how can I? Because because of Canva, design is a very different world now than it was when I did it. When I first did it in the 90s, when the students come out, they've got to know everything now. When I've coached students from Farnham University, or I've spoken to somebody and they've come and worked with me for a week or whatever, they've got to know everything. They've got to be coders. They've got to be web developers. They've got to be animators. They've got to be absolutely everything. Yeah. And in my day, you weren't that.
You were a
in
specialist in
you were a
one area.
specialist in
Yeah.
one area, and then you grew. You learnt that your field. Then you moved on.
Yeah.
They're thrown in the deep end so much now,
Yeah.
and I do feel very sorry for them.
Being a
yeah.
generalist is a difficult job.
It is. Yeah.
You see a job advert, we need someone experienced with Photoshop, Illustrator, SEO, copywriting,
it's mad.
the whole list goes on.
Yeah.
So what do we see Thrive Studios looking like over the next few years? What's the focus going to be?
Thriving brand is my real focus.
Yeah.
I love the consultancy side. I bring people in now, so collaborating a lot more with Thrive Studios. And I can't really let go of that, but thriving brand is my passion. That's my real baby now. Yeah. When I help somebody and I see them glow and they've got the confidence, that is worth its weight in gold. Yeah. I absolutely love that. And when I can see they see those light bulb moments, and they're not overwhelmed with writing like a website or what to do with that. There's a lot of SEO.
They understand how every bit comes together.
And they understand.
Like Meccano to make something.
Yeah, so it's like Lego pieces in some ways, putting it all together. That's what I really enjoy now. So that's my focus for the future.
Yeah.
And I like to do more group programs, building communities. I like people to talk to each other, not be against each other.
It's the whole having a focus group within your community to bounce ideas off of and to get feedback on and understand how things are working.
Because working for yourself is a lonely world. Yeah. You need other people to bounce ideas off. Yeah. And sometimes you can be too honest and it's detrimental to you. I mean, I've talked openly what I wanted to do in the business. Yeah. Then I've been online and that person I've spoken to has suddenly
got an idea and copied it.
Yeah. So I know sometimes I've got to keep my mouth shut because I want to change the world.
Be like a duck, lots of scrabbling underneath the water and calm and composed on top.
And I think I'm more honest now than I probably was because I had to hide so much emotion going on in my personal life. At the time, I was two different people. I was trying to be the professional person and then this mush at home. Yeah. So I think because I know who I am now.
You've got that clarity.
I've got that clarity. I know what I want and I know what areas I want to do. And I want to make a difference to people. Yeah. I don't want to just take the money. Yeah. It's not a obviously I've got to earn money because I've got mortgage and everything else to pay. So but it's different.
From my point of view, you've had a very successful career through several decades, a very changing industry that we talk about technology changing, but this industry as a whole, the creative industry, has been one of the biggest impacts through huge. Technology. Yeah. How would you define your success going forward from now? What does success look like for you?
I do like going on stage and educating. I want to inspire. I think that's the thing. I want to inspire that next generation and those 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds because they do say it's like 26% of new businesses started with a 50-year-old, 55-year-old now, which is huge. Yeah. And you could still be in this. I met a lady the other day and she was 75 and she was still loving her career and still working.
Fantastic.
And I'm thinking, that's what I'd like to do. I don't ever want to give up. No. It doesn't matter what age you are, as long as
you've still got some creativity and the marbles are all still in a row.
And you're still keeping up with what's going on. I mean, it is some things I'm lost at and then I've got to work through and it takes me longer to work out.
But we're all the same.
Yeah. And my daughters are 28 and 26 now and they'll say, "Oh Mum, did you not know about this?" And
do you know the context to that? We've lived the technology generation. So we've seen everything from BBCBs, Acorn computers, Amstrads, Commodore 65 and all this
4 channels,
a floppy disk full of Word documents and all of this stuff we've lived through. So our context for technology is like this. Our children's context of technology is like this. And that's my excuse anyway.
But do you find people are a lot more impatient now? Everybody wants everything now.
Yeah, that's the Amazon effect.
That's the Amazon
because
effect,
I can
yeah.
get something delivered the same afternoon. Within 2 hours, I can get a Morrison's delivery via Amazon on my doorstep.
Yeah, but they want your design to be very, very
Quick as
fast,
well.
very quick. And if they want a good job, yet some days it all comes together and the ideas are there and it's so easy. But other days you have a mental block, or the client changes his mind, but they still want it tomorrow.
Because until you've put something onto paper, they don't know if it's the direction that they want to be going.
Yeah, yeah. And so you've got, as a designer, it's one thing I do find when I'm talking to designers to work with them, a lot of them aren't asking questions. And when I'm talking to...
They're not digging deep enough.
They're not digging deep enough. And a good designer will ask you questions. They want to know about your business, where you want to take it. They should be asking lots and lots of questions before they're ever doing
And then they
design.
need the thinking time.
Yeah. And that's what I do find when somebody, they're paying Fiverr.com or whatever, they're not asking questions. And in when I can remember years ago hiring somebody, and when I was hiring them, I always gave them a brief.
Yep.
And it was my daughter's prom at the time. So I gave them a brief to say, these are the colours, this is the age group. Obviously, you've got to appear to the kids, but you've also got to appear to the mum.
Yep.
Because they're going to
Different
get involved.
influencing different people that got the buying decision.
Yeah. I gave it to 6 designers. 3 of them came back with clip art. Now, do you think I had them? No. And it's that creativity, thinking out of the box, because they didn't ask me any questions. I gave them a straightforward brief.
Yep.
The people that were spot on asked me questions.
Hundreds of questions you can spin from that. How old are the mums? What kind of backgrounds? What kind of income levels? 101 things that can influence that.
Yeah, and that's what a good designer should do. They shouldn't just be, oh, we'll just put this brochure together, or whatever. Yeah. I want to know, when I'm designing a brochure for a client, what are you going to do with that brochure? Yeah. Who's it talking to? Why do you need that brochure?
Is it going to be printed? Is it going to be online? All these different things as to how we're going to use things. You've got to
think, it's a waste of money. How many businesses have you gone in and they've got a storeroom and they've got piles and piles of brochures that are out of date?
Never seen the light of day.
Never seen the light of day. Yep. So what is the point? My process now is, there's a lot of agencies out there that say, oh, you've got to rebrand, you've got to do this. And it's all for the money. It's not what's right for
Marketers
business.
are good at creating their next job, aren't they?
Yeah. And I want to make a difference. I will say, why are you rebranding?
Yeah.
If I don't think you should be rebranding, I will tell you shouldn't rebrand, because it's not just designing a logo. It's absolutely everything. It's going to cost you thousands and thousands, because you've got to have your vans redone. You've got to have... And that's what people don't realise, that from one simple thing, oh, I'm going to rebrand, it will escalate.
The spin-offs are
huge. So why do it if it's not necessary? You can tweak it.
So where will we find out more about Thriving Brand online?
So Instagram is at Thriving Brand. Yep. Most of my stuff is on Instagram, and LinkedIn. It's Lisa Clunie. Yep. And then my websites are thrivingbrand.com and then thrivestudios.co.uk.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being my guest today, Lisa. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.